Title is clickbait, by the way. I'm legitimately asking this. Do we want a second season of Bocchi the Rock? Let me give some context for this in the form of a short review. So, Bocchi the Rock is an adaptation animated by Cloverworks of the manga of the same name, and on the animation front, it's not bad. It does look different from what I've seen of Cloverworks before, at least when they're the sole studio making it, compared to Horimiya or My Dress Up Darling. If I didn't know the studio, I honestly couldn't name who made it. Now, I'm not gonna lie, the animation is pretty good, but to me, it feels a little off. I don't know how to explain it properly. To me, it's one of those things that you kind of just, you can't really explain, but you do have an opinion on it. I mean, the animation is smooth, it's polished, and it does suit the things each character does very well, but I'm sorry, I'm not too high on it. That said, there is more to this anime than just animation. Well, how about the story? Well, story-wise, it's honestly not bad. A super quiet, super introverted girl named Hitori Goto attempts to make herself known among her classmates after being inspired by a band she saw on TV in middle school. She borrowed her father's guitar and started grinding 6 hours a day, every day, for years. Despite that though, she still felt social anxiety and was never able to join a band like she intended to. However, she does a lot of covers at home with a guitar, and she uploads those covers under the name Guitar Hero, who has 30k subs on YouTube. One day, she does her best attempt to get people to approach and talk to her by bringing the guitar to class. It fails. And while she copes at a nearby park, another student from another school quickly approaches her due to the need to have a fill-in for her band. This student, Ijika Ichiji, guides Hitori towards her older sister's club called Starry, and she informs Hitori that she and her fellow bandmate and friend, Ryo Yamada, that their original guitarist abandoned them and they recruited Hitori, whom the band now calls Bocchi, to replace her. Their first performance was awful, to say the least, but it got Bocchi's foot in the door to do what she actually wanted to do. They later got their old guitarist and vocalist Kita Ikio back, and once that happened, we started seeing the band, who called themselves Keisoku Band, bonding together while focusing on improving for their two main performances in this series. One at Starry, which became their first official concert, and the school festival at Kita and Bocchi School. Like I said, the story isn't bad at all. It sounds a little simplistic, you know, with a band coming together and bonding and rehearsing together and all, but the way it's told is pretty entertaining. There's almost always something happening, I should say. Also, Bocchi having social anxiety and being as introverted as she is can be extremely relatable. A lot is exaggerated, sure, but trying to approach people you don't really know is actually hard, and trying to bond with them is even harder. Ryo honestly said it best. None of that is even mentioning something that I feel a lot of slice of life or similar type of anime have been missing lately. The content is actually funny. I swear, a lot that's supposed to be quote-unquote funny is really not, but here, it's actually written well enough to be quality. Now, the ending to the season may not feel as satisfying, but that's fine. It's not the worst way to end a series if it does end here. There's more than enough satisfaction for the rest of the season to make up for it. The characters all also stand out on their own. Each has something that's fun about them, and they bring something, and it's great to see. Let's start talking about Bocchi, or Hitori Goto, the super introverted lead guitarist of Keisoku Band. Obviously, the protagonist and lead character is going to get the most screen time out of everyone, but every time we see Bocchi, it's always entertaining too. It's not really boring seeing her because she's always doing something to keep people interested. Helping over not getting a summer invite to hang out by building cicada graves, trying to get out going to work by bathing in ice water to get sick, or, my personal favorite, probably among all of you, absolutely freaking out over being asked to make an Instagram. Yes, her social anxiety is very exaggerated with some of Bocchi's quote-unquote episodes, but it's very relatable. Social anxiety is very real, and the fact that the way the story progresses shows Bocchi slowly gaining more confidence is actually very enjoyable as well. Also, unlike another protagonist in another anime featuring social anxiety that I've seen, Bocchi at least has the ability to speak if needed, which can make moments a little more personal or intimate. It's nice to see, and our protagonist is very fun to watch. I know Bocchi didn't say this, but I'm sure she thinks the same way as I do, where I always say, fuck school. Although, I hate doing the work on top of having to deal with people I don't really know. Moving on, we have the drummer for Kisoku Band in Nijika Ichiji. Nijika approached Bocchi after the initial guitarist abandoned her and Rio. Since then, she's been a very reliable leader of the band. Always making sure the band's up to date, making sure they're doing their work at the club, being as accommodating as possible to Bocchi since she has insane social anxiety. You get the point. I like her. She's very straightforward, very honest, and she will work hard. She doesn't necessarily lead to many moments that are funny or super entertaining without Bocchi, but Bocchi was with her in the band most of the time, so it's pretty redundant. Her dream to have the band be popular enough to not only support her, but her sister and her club is very respectable and a lot less self-centered than even our protagonist. Honestly, there's not much more to say. Overall, good character. Now we have Rio Yamada, the bassist for the band and fellow student in Ichika's school. Now, we call her Rio, however, I prefer the term Leech. Poor Bocchi kept supporting her and still wasn't getting paid back until months later. Ignoring that though, Rio has a loner mentality where, unlike Bocchi who wants to socialize but has trouble doing so, Rio straight up doesn't care enough to hang out with others. Being very quiet and not really caring shouldn't seem like much, right? But some of the things that she does can be fun. Suggesting overpricing very cheap merch, making a shrine for Kita since she straight up abandoned them, eating weeds, being a leech, all among others. She was also in another band, but she left that band due to the fact that they were chasing after mainstream trends rather than honestly writing what they wanted. I respect it. And that push to have Kisoku Band do things that are just honest, just overall helps the series since we aren't watching people copy trends. She can be a good character if she lets go of that loner mentality and we see more of her. But for now, it's still not bad. Still a leash though. And now we have the final member of Kisoku Band in Kita Ikuyo, the second guitarist and main vocalist for the band. She was the one who initially abandoned Nijika and Rio's band in the first place because she didn't actually know how to play guitar and only wanted to get closer to Rio, whom she's simping for. Since they needed a new guitarist and vocalist, Bocchi brought her back and the band made amends and they started working together again. I do admire her hard work. She literally has been grinding what seems like non-stop to be able to play the guitar ever since she abandoned the group, and her improvement is surprisingly great. She is very kind and a good counterpart to Bocchi, where Kita is a huge extrovert, but the whole abandoning the band thing is kind of a red flag. Yeah, she was apologetic and the rest of the band accepted her again, but still. Is simping for your senpai worth the lying and the time you wasted? Also, essentially forcing Bocchi to perform at the school festival was a mixed bag. I kind of appreciate the effort because Bocchi may need a larger push to perform in front of a larger audience, but at the same time, Bocchi's clearly very uncomfortable doing that, and you straight up ignored it. I mean, it worked out, so I guess it's fine, right? Anyway, Kita, honestly, not too bad. Still simp though. Now, in addition to the members of Kisoku Band, we have Nijika's older sister Seika, the owner and manager of Starry. Unsurprisingly, She's very hard on them due to the fact that Ichika is their leader and she does want them to, succeed. I respect it a lot, and everything Seika does mainly is in an attempt to help out the band. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I honestly don't know what else to say. She's just kind of there. I mean, yeah, she's giving them support and she gave them part-time work and stuff, but at the same time, she's just observing them. The only real thing she's actually done was telling the band they had to go through the same process everyone who performs a story does, audition. In addition to reminding everyone that Bocchi has done nothing all summer long, and forcing the two leeches to pay Bocchi back. In terms of being a mentor to the rest of the band, I mean, she's alright. Again, she's just observing them for the most part. Well, luckily, for Bocchi at least, there's someone else who could fill in the mentor role for her, and that's Kikuri Hiyori, the bassist and vocalist of Sick Hack. Now, I'm saying this. This is an S tier character. I do not care for others' opinions. Her presence in this anime is gold. It's one thing to help Bocchi out and help guide her to do her best to support the band like Seika's doing. But one, Seika is helping the band out as a whole mainly, while Kikuri is mainly helping out Bocchi. And two, it's a completely different thing to do it while completely wasted. The happiness spiral she talks about? Nothing more true has ever been said in anime. I swear. Pain and suffering goes away after a few drinks. Don't actually try this at home, please. Now, she doesn't appear much, but the time she does is actually more of a decent mentor for Bocchi than most would expect from a drunkard. She helped meet the band's quota for tickets and helped talk Bocchi and help build her confidence for the school festival. Not to mention the bottleneck for Bocchi's failed equipment came from one of Kikuri's bottles, though that was more unintentional support. I'd say she fills the mentor role well, even if she's a bit of a leech by not paying Bocchi back for train fare, or using the Ichi household shower, or, constantly destroying equipment, causing her to pay that back instead. Alright, she's not perfect, but she's still pretty fun to watch. こうして後藤一人は灰となり、もう二度とギターを持つことはなかったのでした。With all that said, I'd give Bocchi the Rock an 8.5 out of 10. It's very entertaining, the characters are all likable, and it's always fun to see a story like this be animated. With all that said, I personally do not want another season of this anime. I know the manga isn't done, and I don't think most people would mind seeing a second season, but I personally think it's fine the way it is as a one-season anime. My fear is that something will happen later on that will cause the anime to drop in quality. I'd rather remember this for being really good rather than being really good and absolutely collapsing out of nowhere. I'm not saying that it's gonna, and I honestly don't think it will, but given what we've seen so far, I think the way this ended is good enough. And there's not much else that they really need to build on. If there is a second season, though, I'll still watch it. It's pretty good.